huge slate. We're going to have a lot of really weird decisions for a small baseball slate. Well, maybe it's really just easy, and I just suck up the chalk and I do it. But I feel very confused about who to pitch. And then for football, we have an unusual Tuesday night game, and makes for kind of a fun sports night.
Yep. Hey, we both got it right. The Chargers plus the points yesterday.
Yeah.
That was nice. I like the under though. In all fairness, so.
It might have gotten there if it was just a weird flow in that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that guy's good, man. What's his name? The guy from Oregon.
Herbert. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he's really good. And dude, every freaking time I don't know what happens when I don't watch him play, but every time I see Mike Williams play, he looks like the greatest wide receiver in football. It's amazing.
Do you know what's funny though? I got the Mike Williams is inactive tonight tweet message, and then I didn't realize until after that there was another one sent that corrected it.
Really?
That's Which didn't end up affecting me a ton because I didn't, whatever. I would have used some Mike Williams, but I was focused on Allen. Allen got hurt anyway, so I was going to be dead. But yeah, Justin Jackson even had some touches and he had some real chances.
Justin Jackson was great. I'm telling you, it was weird. Like right at the beginning, like he had that breakout run at the beginning of the game. Oh my God, Bobby is going to get all of the money. And then you wanted the other thing and you were just 100% right. I didn't listen, whatever. Dude, I hit like 15x out of that wide receiver, but
I need it. No, exactly. That was the thing. It was weird. It was a weird one last night. Today it's a little bit more issue. Maybe we should start off with football because I guess there's going to be, and you never know, we might get another extra lineup in by the time we get to baseball. You know.
And meanwhile, by the way, in the showdown last night, it was like 1,000-way tie for first.
Yeah, I saw that. It was a weird night. I had a really bad DFS night, even though I didn't play that much. I just didn't hit any of the right combination things. I had Keenan Allen in every lineup, and it was hard to work. You know what I mean? It was hard to make happen. And then the baseball was kind of strange. Just there was nothing really happening until the ninth inning of that game. I even got my Albies home run late. You know what I mean?
All that knocked me out of the money in one of my big ones.
Yeah, and then again, this guy's still going to be lower on than he should be again today. But anyway, it was not a good night. I'm ready to get back after it tonight. The football game, we'll start just talking, I guess, positions because, not positions. We'll talk about just overall play. There's a lot of guys and these. There's not a lot of the same cheap options that maybe could go as much off, or I don't know. I don't find anybody with that kind of upside even in the 2 and 4K range. But there is a lot of guys we can choose between. Who are you sort of finding you're slanting towards, and maybe trying to any chalk you might be getting off of?
Well, what do you think about the game? Let's talk about the game first. What do you think of the game?
Well, do we even have a total for this game? Oh, we do, 53, which is crazy. I would like to take the under in that.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And I'm a believer in both these teams as being actually good teams, but they also have been good teams over the past while because of their defenses. I know they haven't had a great start this season, but they've played some tough matchups, especially in Buffalo too. Against teams that can score. Anyway, so I think what I'm going to end up doing mostly is I don't know. My take on the game is that I like Tennessee slightly better than Buffalo, but I still like the Buffalo passing game so much better than I like any part of Tennessee with the upside. If John Brown plays, I think he's the obvious best play on the slate. And I know.
What do you think his status is? I mean,
the guess is that he's going to play. I mean, he's had a few more days to get healthy. But we don't know for sure yet. And honestly, that's going to determine a lot. But Diggs is the preferred guy in general. But I guess if you're such a huge price break. If you're going to play one of these studs in the captain, like I'm planning on, I need to sort of go. I need to spend down somewhere. And I feel like Brown is just way too cheap. John Brown is too cheap. And I like AJ Brown, who's going to be a little bit lower owned than the Diggs, Henry, Tannehill combination. I'm sort of looking at getting less Henry and Tannehill overall in the field.
I was thinking of being a little less Henry also. Tell me about the guy that I was going to be interested in. It's so funny is that I didn't know what the prices were going to be because I got him I played a little bit of the 2-game slate, which. You know what? I had some Sanders and I had some Williams, but for whatever reason, I didn't have enough of the 2 of them together. So unless you have both those together, it's kind of hard to kind of really be alive. But the guy that I paid down for, which I thought was going to be a little cheaper today, was that now what's the guy's name? The wide receiver from Tennessee. Crap.
Which guy are you talking about?
The guy that no one's heard of.
Well, they've got a few guys you could select from if you want to do that.
Raymond.
Khalif Raymond.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a monster week last week. It makes a lot of sense. I think that he's certainly not going to be off the board. I actually think that John Brown might not be that much lower owned than him if they're playing. So I don't think he's. I think he's a good, decent semi-secondary chalk play or whatever. The Westbrook Akeen guy for Tennessee, he had 2 targets last time out. He's $200 $200. I don't mind him as a potential option. There is no Davis and Humphreys, so like there should be other places to go. Raymond is the obvious one, but I mean, if we actually think that Westbrook is ahead of Rodgers and Hollister as the next guy up, which looks like he is because he's gotten the more snaps than the other guys. I don't think they've even had any. Okay. So I would lean to him at 200 again. Another guy who's not going to be off the board exactly. Like people are going to play him. I mean, he's going to be owned probably around 20%. The guy who I'm leaning towards of the weird ones is Isaiah Mackenzie.
Okay.
This guy gets action no matter what, regardless of who's healthy or not. Of course, if John Brown's out, you can give him a little bump up. It doesn't lock him in or anything. It makes Beasley a better play. But and they do have Gabriel Davis also, who's another fine play as that you can use Raymond on the other side or Davis on this side. Now, while Raymond seems like he's going to be a lot more popular, it's kind of strange because Gabriel Davis has actually put up, he's already had 2 touchdowns this year. These don't sound like huge numbers, but this is still something. His last 3 games, 9.5, 12, and 7.5 fantasy points. That's on these kind of slates. Like that's better than the guy you're taking on the other side, basically, except for the 3 touchdown, the 100-yard play, basically, or 90-yard play that he caught last week. So Gabriel Davis and Isaiah Mackenzie are on my list. I kind of like playing Isaiah Mackenzie on these slates. I used to do this on these because he'll return punts and stuff. And it is a spot where I think you could play him with the Bills defense. And I think that's kind of interesting because you get sort of a little correlation there. But it doesn't really matter. If you're playing him, you don't need to worry too much about other stuff because he's going to be so low owned. Yeah.
There's another guy that – so the first 200 guy that you mentioned was how do you pronounce the full name? It's like 3 names, right?
Yeah, Westbrook. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah. What about now again? Jonnu Smith is going to be, obviously a big part of it. What about
sorry, I didn't mention him, but he's like an awesome. I think he's like the best part of their passing game that you naturally want to get. People are asking who's going to get Humphreys' role. The weird part is we don't know what's going to happen because we've had Corey Davis and we've had Humphreys. Now we've had no A.J. Brown. Now we've got A.J. Brown, but no Davis and Humphreys. You could argue. I mean, also one thing is like this Tennessee team might just throw the ball only 20-something times tonight, and they might just pound it. And 11 of those targets could go to A.J. Brown, or you can take these other shots and these other. They could have to go to A.J. Brown and Jonnu Smith. Actually, maybe even almost all of them could go that way because of the way they play. But they will take shots downfield. So taking a shot on one of these Westbrook, Akeen, Humphreys deals, Raymond deals makes a lot of sense. I just think Raymond is going to be the mega chalk guy. And maybe he should be, but I'm sort of looking at trying to do something a little bit different. And I took a look at the Gabriel Davis thing as a pivot because I think he's going to have about a third or half the ownership. And then there's always the weird McKenzie play, which means you can play whatever chalk you want because people are not going to play McKenzie.
Well, I had a more kind of like ridiculous play. What about Anthony Ferkser?
Yeah, I don't like guys like that in these kind of games, but
okay.
I guess not on one game slate. Everybody's fine. But what is Ferkser's price?
Like 200 or something?
I didn't realize he was in that realm. For some reason, I didn't have him there. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. He's not going to have much ownership, so I get it. He's caught 6 passes this year. It's not like he's totally unused in this thing. If Buffalo gets ahead, they could end up. You could end up seeing, a lot of these guys them throwing the ball a lot more, I guess. But not a guy who I'm excited about. I prefer the. Well, I guess the answer is I just prefer speculating on the other guys who can, maybe put up a Khalif Raymond last week kind of a game where it gets an 80-yard pass. Where Ferkser, you're going to get maybe a couple catches and maybe I can't see him playing in red zone situations. It's possible. I can't see him being a target, I should say, in red zone situations. Anyway.
I've got one lineup here I'm just staring at. I built like 20 lineups. I was kind of screwing around. I do have one with Gabriel Davis in the cap.
That's gonna be definitely a low end one. I like that.
But it's not like but it's got like normal players. Otherwise, so it's got Davis in the captain, then it's got like, well, I'll just say like the top combination from both teams, quarterback and receiver, and it's got the Westbrook guy in the last position with 700 on the table. I mean, it's not exactly the wildest idea in the world. Yeah, I'm into that. All right.
Yeah. The other two guys who I haven't mentioned yet that I should talk about are Darrington Evans and Zach Moss. Ooh, Zach Moss is coming back after being out if he's healthy. I mean, again, John Brown, there's still a lot of question marks on the Bills, so it's weird to do this so early because we don't know who's going to play yet. Seth Roberts is also hurt. So Zach Moss, though, would basically be Singletary's other running back. You know, on these one-game slates, I love taking that other running back. And he should get some work, actually. Like Zach Moss, if you look at the first couple of weeks, he had 17 carries in the first, between the first two games, 9 and 8. And that is absolutely enough work. And he actually had 3 targets in one of the games, or 4 targets and 3 receptions in that one of the games too. That's enough at 2.6. Like, and he's going to be on the lower of the medium owned side, like maybe 15 to 25%, somewhere in that range, and depending on who's healthy, of course. But including him. But if he is healthy, I mean, I think we should absolutely be playing this guy too. I kind of like this Moss thing.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'm going to trim down my Ferkser exposure a little bit.
No, I mean, nothing wrong with
Ferkser. Run a route in 4 weeks. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and then so we've got the other thing. I think I did mention this one was the Evans thing on the other side. So Derrick Henry's a workhorse back, obviously. But if you really think he's going to get every single carry, then you can fade this. But there's a reasonable chance 4 or 5 balls go a different way at some point in the game. And running backs get hurt. I say this all the time. And they get banged up for quarters and possessions at a time and stuff like that. And when that happens, you need to have another running back in the game. Darrington Evans is 1K. He's the other guy you're choosing with, and you're considering. He's going to have a little bit of ownership. I actually prefer him over Mackenzie, but it's a long shot, but in a funny way, it's actually a more reasonable shot that he gets more work than these other guys do, just because Derrick Henry doesn't have to play every single snap.
I'm trying to think of like how you could build lineups that have all the guys that you're not uncomfortable with, and I don't think you could do it, which is fine. What do you like Tyler Kroft at all?
What's that?
You like Tyler Kroft at all?
Yeah, I do have some interest in Kroft. He'll get some work no matter what, so I'm good with him. I don't think that he's. I originally had him in like my main lineup, and I'm like, I don't feel good about that. I would rather take the Zach Moss guy a little bit more. You know what I mean?
He broke the showdown slate, didn't he, against the Rams?
Yeah, he had the 2 touchdowns
at 200.
I mean, anybody can catch touchdowns from. I mean, you saw the touchdown plays, right? Like, and they were actually big plays too. Like, they were. I mean, there was a game winner in there. So the fact that they're willing to use him like that, yeah, sure, absolutely. I think you're going to need at least 1 touchdown out of him for it to be something. I think because he's not going to get any work. He's not going to catch any long passes or anything. But it's interesting. Real quick, I'm going to say what's up to John, Nathan, Ken, and James in the chat. James says Darrington Evans has reportedly early season as Kamara LTE role. Anyway, I don't understand the question. I guess it's a lot of different things with different abbreviations. And do you understand what that means, Sheets?
Darrington Evans had a report earlier in the season as Kamara Light.
Oh, light. Okay. The LTE thing all capitalized as light is so confusing to me. I would never have thought light out of that.
Light roll?
Kamara light.
Does that mean he's good? Is that what?
That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Evans. I think it's kind of interesting. I just don't. I mean, it's not like they're gonna like. How can you give him a Kamara light role? Like, he's not gonna get. They don't give anybody a role. Like, I mean, as much as I like the pivoting and trying to do different things, I don't know that. I mean, unless he gets injured, Derrick Henry is probably going to be out there almost all the time. Not all the time, though.
I will have you know, by the way, who is it? Who's the one that came in? James. That I have 2 lineups with Darrell Evans in it.
Darrell Evans?
Isn't that his name?
Darrington Evans.
Darrington Evans, right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Him.
So, yeah. So I've got 2 lineups with him in it. Hey, God forbid the ball, it gets down to the goal line and Henry has to come out for something. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about Evans? Yeah, no, I get it. I have some Evans. I'm just.
Oh, you do? Okay.
What I would say is that I wouldn't at all assume that they're going to use him in some sort of Kamara like I don't Kamara is like, I mean, Kamara plays every possession, and even when Murray's in these days, Kamara's lined out in the slot, like, or on the edge actually. But anyway, I don't see that happening, but I definitely could see him being a valuable play, and I love the idea of playing these second string running backs on these kind of slates, so I can get behind that. But I think that I think I really like the Zach Moss thing right now. That's the one I feel the best about at these lower things, because he's a guy who really does get work, and he's got some skills, So
I do think that tonight. I don't know why I think this, because the total for tonight is the same as yesterday, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I feel as though one of these little idiots is gonna win at this. You know what I mean? Like yesterday, you talked me off that idea. You know what I mean? You're gonna need these points because all these other guys are gonna get there. Maybe it's the same. Maybe like Derrick Henry and what's his name, and AJ Brown. I mean, they're gonna get a lot of points, aren't they?
Yeah, just make sure your guys have your lineups tell a story. That's all I would try to encourage everybody, because so I'll play like Gostkowski, because I don't mind the kickers tonight. Gostkowski is, I mean, this guy is like, if you look at his fantasy points per game, actually, he looks like he's a better player than most of these other guys we've talked about. He did make 6 field goals the other day, and he put up 25 fantasy points last week, so he could end up being the highest scorer on the slate. No, but Gostkowski, if you play him, like, you'd want him to be in the lineup with Henry in it.
Okay.
With Josh Allen and one of the pass catchers for Buffalo.
Why is that? Because
you're playing we're going to run and not quite make it all the way there, but we're going to kick our field goals. We're going to be playing from ahead.
Okay.
It's just a narrative thing. And of course it could always work out differently, but that's one way it could play. And then on the other side, you get Josh Allen coming back, throwing the ball more than running, which they're probably going to do anyway. For me, John Brown or Diggs, although it's hard to get Diggs and Henry and Allen all in if you're going to captain one. James, thanks for DMing me. I'll take a look at that tweet later. I'm not against playing him at all. I'm actually very much.
No, I'm telling you, a stupid showdown slate like this. I mean, that's exactly what I want to see. Some wild thing that maybe has a 10% chance of being true. But if it happens to work out, I mean,
But the thing is, he's going to be. It's not like you're getting. He's not like going to be completely off the board. But
okay. So it's not going to be like a Valdez Scantling from last night.
I've got a lineup with him and Mackenzie together.
There you go.
That's a pretty, and I'm not as worried about that one being duplicated. So that's sort of the way I'm looking at it. It is really hard for me to not make Josh Allen my captain, just because of the points he puts up every week, man.
Every week.
It's so hard to find a route where that just doesn't happen, I do want to do one more thing.
These dudes, man. I mean, Tannehill can run too. It's
yeah.
It's kind of tough to not at least have one of these quarterbacks in one of your lineups,
Yeah. And we didn't talk about Singletary, who I like, but I actually think Zach Moss is probably what I'm going to end up doing. Anyway. All right. Should we move on to baseball, you think?
Yeah, let's talk about baseball. So as hard as baseball was already with Kershaw in, I mean, now with Kershaw out, the pitcher becomes even a little more fishy. And I decided what I'm going to do, but I'm kind of interested to hear what you're going to do. We can go position by position, but then we can come back to the slate, however you want to do it.
Let's talk about positions, because the pitcher thing is going to be a tough one.
Okay.
So what are you going to do?
Right. So, you're gonna be happy I'm doing it. I am gonna fade Anderson and play 5 Dodgers and probably play Gosselin. I'm basically going with all Dodgers all the time today. I figure that at the beginning of the day, people are going to be playing Anderson and Kershaw. I mean, those are the two safest, whatever it is, but the two most logical. And I feel as though with Kershaw out, I think Anderson gets even more ownership, I suppose. So I'll try it. I'm really in my main buy-in, my big buy-in, 444, 550, whatever I go in. I'm going to play 5 Dodgers. I don't know exactly which ones or where, but they're going to be the main ones, and I can get them in pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be fading Anderson with that respect. That's just what I'm going to do. And yeah, it's hopelessly uncomfortable to have any of these other guys like Gonsolin, or Cootie, or the other guy, or Yarborough.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever, I'm just going to eat it. Hope that whichever ones I end up with give me 12 points or whatever it is, and then the Dodgers just go freaking bananas.
Yeah, so my biggest take on the day is if you're making bets, just bet the over on both these baseball games. That would be something I would do.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I think that Tampa Bay matches up incredibly with their Kitty. I think that Houston matches up perfectly with Yarborough. And I think the Dodgers are the kind of team that, while, look, you might get like the Anderson gets through 3 or 4 because they haven't really seen him, and maybe he strikes out 6 guys, and that's what you get. I could also see him getting completely lit up from the beginning. I think the Dodgers are going to score 1,000,000 runs today. I still have stacks of Dodgers with Anderson because of where the pitching is at. Because he's going to get some strikeouts and pitch some innings no matter what, unless they literally get like 6 right away. They'd have to get like 6 in the first.
So here's my theory, okay? And I kind of alluded to this the other day, and I guess this stuff has already been worked out, so I don't know why I think that I'm going to like change the way people look at baseball, but so when it comes to these 2-game slates, 2, 3, more of 2, because if you're in a 1-game slate, you could certainly play a zillion hitters from the other side, right? And if when you get to 3 or 4 games, it becomes a little harder to justify. But this 2-game slate seems like kind of this weird kind of middle ground for me. What I think I'm going to do, and this is my thesis, is that maybe it's because of my stock market stuff. I think the correlation between, what hitters do to pitchers is so strong that what I'm going to do to try to get different is instead of going for hitters against pitchers, I'm just going to just leave money on the table. I think that's the way I'm going to do it. I just every time I play a hitter against a pitcher on a 2-game slate, it just I can't even quantify. It just feels wrong. It feels as though I just don't know who I'm rooting for at every at bat. So what I'm going to probably end up doing is not play hitters against pitchers, or at least not more than one. And the way I'm going to get different is probably leave money on the table. And again, I have no proof of that, but that's just kind of what I'm going to do.
Yeah. The hard part really is the strikeouts are so bad with this Kitty and Yarborough situation.
Yep.
Yarborough could get through some innings, though, and he can occasionally be good. This is just not a good matchup for him.
Nope.
But why are we more confident in the Chalky or Kitty? I think it's perception. I think it's Tampa Bay has a higher strikeout rate and all that stuff, which is why I like Tampa Bay bats a ton.
They're so cheap. I mean,
no, they're just great everywhere. The thing I'm struggling with is I'd like to get some Houston exposure, but I can't really do that with because I really want to stack the Dodgers 4-man, and I want to stack at least 2 Atlanta players. Atlanta is going to be able to run, and even if I play Gonsolin, I can still play Gonsolin with Albies and Acuna and feel fine about it. First of all, the stolen base factor in these postseason games is really what it's about for me, and they're going to keep running on Will Smith. As long as Will Smith's catching, they're going to run.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So let's talk, and I never do this, okay? I never go and research players like in their past and all this stuff. I just look at the numbers, do whatever. I actually spent a little bit of time on Christian Pache, okay? He's 2,100, batting 9th for Atlanta, and the guy runs, okay? And he's probably not – I mean, if they're behind, he might get pinch hit for, but he's a defensive freaking genius apparently, so that's why he's playing. And so if it's kind of, whatever, it's close or whatever it is, and maybe if they have the lead, I mean, they're going to leave him in. And I was actually like 3/4 of the way done with my research. Apparently he's not bad. I mean, he was a top-rated prospect. He can run. And, he has limited power or whatever it is. But at 2,100, if you're telling me that the running game is where it's at and they're going to run a Will Smith, maybe this isn't a hot take, especially on a 2-game slate, but 2,100, I'm gonna play this guy.
I get it, actually. It makes some sense. Beware of pinch hit and all that stuff like it happened last night with him. They have no interest in having this guy in there. He just happens to be there because we have an injury. So I'm all about it. Go for it. Let's get him in. The problem with me is I'm going to play Betts and Bellinger and Acuna everywhere. So I'm not going to even talk. You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing else I can really do. I am curious to see how Tampa Bay's lineup shakes out today because I would have some interest in Yoshi as a spend down at third. Is he even on the roster actually on this one?
Hang on. Before we get there, tell me about Gonsolin.
That full thing. Gonsolin's a good pitcher who's got good real life stuff. There's absolutely no reason why he wouldn't turn into Julio Urias at some point in this game or somebody else because they are not going to mess around. But at the same time, he's good enough to get through innings. So I'm coming around more to Gonsolin as being the Gonsolin and either Yarbrough or Urquidy. Even though I think Anderson, I'm going to say that again. Anderson is the best play. I'm trying to win a tournament, and I want to stack the hell out of these Dodgers. And I just think that they're built to rock this guy. I hate that we have the value out there in the outfield again because I really want to play this Acuna and Albies, even though I like Gonsolin. I mean, they have the power and speed upside that it's hard to not want, I don't know.
I don't know, man. You talk about narratives or whatever. You got this Gonsolin. He's a rookie. He's been kind of used here and there this year, whatever it is. And they come and they say, dude, you know what? Kershaw's out. It's your time, dude. I mean, he is going to be ready to roll, man. I don't know what kind of guy this is, but
even if he's ready to roll, that's probably a bad thing. Most pitchers struggle the more energy they have going into playoff games, especially young pitchers.
I guess. That's
how I feel about Anderson today, by the way.
Yeah.
That kid's going to come in there. You better not walk some people early because this team is going to make you pay, especially because it's going to be warmer. The roof should be open. We don't have it for sure confirmed yet, but it should be open today. It's a warmer game because it's got the day game instead of these evening games where the ball's just been dying. So, overall point, I'm still playing I'm playing Gonsolin, but I just think that these Atlanta bats the stolen base upside of these guys is just so high. It's hard not to have interest. I like the 2,100 call. I don't know where I need to save it to get that 2,100, but I feel like I guess you're right. If you do, I'm thinking out loud, but I guess if you do stack the Dodgers, you really kind of do want to have 4 or 5 of them, I think, today, and just go completely. And then you fade Anderson. Yeah, you have Pache at whatever at 2,100, but you do have also 2,900. What's his name? Jock Peterson tonight, which is kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy, but he's also got obviously the usual pinch hit risk.
Yeah, that's true. But man, and that guy does allow you to do some things. All right, I think I like this lineup better. I think I actually might end up using Pache in my big lineup though, because, like you said, at that price, if he just gets one stolen, again, even just for positions, I just like this Dodger outfield so much. I'm having a hard time getting there. Sort of in between anyway. But yeah, I'm going for the Hammer Dodger stack. I like Atlanta as well, but Tampa Bay and Houston both make sense. Everybody makes sense today. I just would lean Dodgers and Tampa for stacks.
So who are your favorite Dodgers?
Betts, Bellinger, Seager, Will Smith, and then Muncy probably.
Yeah, so I had a different 5. I had just because of the way it played out, I had Seager, Betts, Bellinger, and then I had Pollock and Turner. But I guess you can't go wrong with any of them, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Pollock, a lot. Again, how do I play these other outfield guys? If I only get 3 spots in my outfield, I just can't talk about other outfield.
When I was looking at Pache, he's actually not in my big lineup. Is telling you it's just freaking loaded with these Dodgers in the outfield, and then Seager and Turner, and I was back and forth between what to do with the rest. So yeah, there's 2 ways you could go if you can kind of visualize my lineup here. Mm-hmm. So you could play Miami. You could play Miami, Tampa value with the Zunino, Choi, and you could even get Lau in, right? Or if you prefer the Houston pitcher, you know what I mean. If you prefer the Urquidy, you could do the same thing. You do Maldonado, Diaz. I presume Diaz is playing, and Altuve.
Yeah.
and you could do both those things. This Dodger thing to me just is easy to play, presuming you don't play Anderson. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's probably what I'm gonna end up doing. And the thing is that when you play Gonsolin, like you said, you give up the ability to get all that Brave upside, which is plentiful. You know what I mean? Like Freeman's swinging the bat really, really well, and Acuna's just on another level right now. And Albies, like you played him when no one was playing him. Yeah. And he finally got there, and did Riley not hit a home run also yesterday? I don't know.
I think I just figured out the answer though to the overall how to play this slate. What you do is you play whatever you play with your early stacks. Oh, never mind. Sorry, I got the game times mixed up for a second. I did it again because the Dodgers have been the late game every day so far. So I was going to say you can decide between Gonsolin and
Dodgers are early.
Anderson after the Dodgers are the early game today. So you have to play them right off the bat.
Okay.
Anyway, it's just it's unfortunate because it would be a great example of if your stack goes off, if you get all your stuff going on early, you can just switch over to the chalkier guy or get some different mixes with that guy in there. But now you don't. You're not going to do that. All right, Cheats. What about anything else before? Let's see. What other plays in this slate? Guys, get some QQs in there. I see some stuff on the football, but throw in some baseball QQs or throw in some football QQs. I'm happy to talk about either.
You really can play whoever you want on the slate. So that's why I'm going to – and it's kind of silly to say the Dodgers are going to be lower owned, but, I mean, they just kind of have to be if Anderson's going to be that popular, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just where I'm going. And look, you could certainly do this. You could play all the Astros who've been playing really well. You know what I mean? And not to make the lineup, you can get all those guys in really, really easily, because your only choices at pitcher are cheap pitchers, and they're all cheap. So regardless of where you bite, hold your nose and pitch, everybody's doing the same thing. And if you want to play chalky, you can play Anderson with or Cootie or whatever, and then just load up on all the Astros. And certainly, I'm not gonna kill you for that.
I want to throw out. I do have Christian Javier in lineups, and I'm just gonna. I just think this Urquidy could easily turn into Javier. It's going to happen one of these next games. This is a must-win in this exact same spot. Houston has basically done the exact same thing every time. Whenever there was a game that really mattered, even just any playoff game so far, if there's any struggles for their starter, they're going to go to that bullpen early, and they're going to let that guy pitch for a long time. So that's the guy who I would pick. Also, he's got better strikeout stuff than Urquidy by a long shot. He could actually get you there in a short period of time, even though he's expensive. And again, if you can get like 13, 12 points from your pitcher today, you're in good shape. And
I think so.
What's that?
I think so.
Yeah. So I think that's your sort of off the board-ish guy.
By the way, I mean, not for nothing, because he got the loss and got a little, I would say lucky, whatever it is. When he got rolling, man, McCullers was freaking en fuego yesterday.
He was good. I mean, at the same time, like, it's hard. Yeah, he was good, but so was, and they tried to, Morton got the ball hit harder on him, but he did what his Morton thing is. He doesn't give up stuff.
I was all worried that everybody was going to just get pinched, get subbed out and stuff with those. And you know what? What's his name? McCullers could have gotten pulled pretty, earlier.
No.
He would get rolling. If he didn't get rolling, I mean, he was gone.
I don't think so, actually. I actually think they were going to let him throw like his like 75 pitches. I don't think that was if they had scored some runs in the game and maybe if it was like 7-3 or something, maybe. But if they were getting blown out, I just think they would have sort of chalked it up and eaten it a little bit in game 2. Where I don't think they'll do that in game 3 though. I think that they'll also have a lot more faith in McCullers than they're going to have in Urquidy. I could end up being totally wrong. Urquidy could end up getting the BABIP to fine, but he's the guy who I'm sort of lower on of these guys. I think I side with Yarbrough over him, who I think is a better real-life pitcher and, at least at times shows strikeout upside. We really haven't seen it. I don't even know if we've seen it once from Urquidy.
Yeah, a couple of games ago, right? Didn't he I don't have it in front of me, but I thought
he had one 7-game strikeout game against Texas a while ago.
Like everybody else.
And these are in full games. 3-3, 5-3-3. And those are like regular long starts, you know what I mean? And those are also easy matchups. Another Texas in there. Basically, when he doesn't face Texas, he strikes out about a guy every couple innings.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, and you know this, the only guy on the slate that really has the ability to score 30 fantasy points is going to be Ian Anderson, but I'm not doing it. That's the decision I have made to live with.
And
I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to have zero of him. I'm going to play him, but I'm going to have I'm a main lineup. I'm going to have none of him and Dodgers, and and again, if my smaller ones kind of get there with him, that's great. But my main buy-ins are going to be without him.
Yeah, I forgot. Maybe I did mention him, and maybe I mentioned that I forgot to tell. But I do want to say that Austin Meadows is a guy you'll see in a lot of my lineups also. So that's my other outfielder, sort of. But again, I think that with my big ones, I think I'm rolling Yarbrough and Gonsolin. I don't feel – I'm nervous about it. I'll tell you that right now. But
so you like Yarbrough more than Urquidy?
I mean, first of all, the lead should be longer. They have a 2-0 lead. He's a better real-life pitcher. He's more a part of their regular team. The only problem is he sometimes has these bullpen games where you don't know how long they're going to use him exactly. But, I mean, against the Yankees, he only threw 65 pitches. But that was a close game, and it was an important – what?
Yeah. So again, I had like this lineup that I could swap out really, really easily with Urquidy for Yarbrough, and it's duplicated. It's like in 3 different tournaments. So maybe one of them I'll go Urquidy with the Dodger dudes, and the other one I'll go Yarbrough with the Tampa dudes.
Yeah, I think Urquidy is the safer. I don't even know that I do actually. I don't think I do think he's the safer play. So I'm gonna take that away. I actually think that he may not be. Yeah, I don't think he is.
Well, this is actually kind of interesting because, you never get this.
What?
So I'm going to have 5 Dodgers, right? So I'm going to know pretty quickly what's going on, right? So before that Houston game starts, I'll be able, if I feel like it, to switch around those spots. But I don't know what's the real difference.
Yeah.
But at least I don't have to make any decisions now with that. All right, perfect. All good.
All right, man. Well, we covered a lot. Anything else before we get out of here? I did ask for some QQs, and we'll see. It usually takes a minute or so for those to coming in. One guy who might get overlooked, by the way, Rosarena. I can't play him much because I've got too many other outfielders. But just probably worth noting, this guy's putting up like a historic postseason. He's hitting 450 right now. He's like,
ridiculous.
It's really nuts. And what's crazy is that I think he also has the most strikeouts of any player. So he literally, basically, if he makes contact, you're good. You're in good shape.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like I said, I mean, like you can't throw fastballs to this dude. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah. So that's why what's his name got him out with a really, really nice curveball yesterday. But you saw what he did to Cole. I mean, like you just can't get it past him.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. It looks like we're basically wrapping up on time here. And real quick before we do, I am going to say, I think that the safe bets here of the day are bet the under in the football game and bet the over in both baseball games. I really believe that. That's not from BetQL. You can check out BetQL. Again, promo code BobbyFi for 20% off. Also, give us the like on here and all that shit, subscribe and all that. But I think that I really feel good about those takes. I really feel good about the football game going under and both baseball games going over.
Hey, I'm not saying are these 4 out of 7s?
The series, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm not saying it's must win yet, but Dodgers could benefit from a win here. Let's put it that way.
I know that's what makes the Gonsolin thing so much higher. It's a higher risk than it would be.
Yeah.
1-0 or 2.
Wait a minute. Let's talk about this. So if you were willing to play Javier, is there someone out of the Dodger bullpen you're willing to play?
Yeah, well, it's Urias, but then they might need Urias to start because with the spasms with Kershaw, who knows what's going to happen. So you could argue that because the spasms are acting up on their starters already and Buehler just pitched and there's no days off, that maybe they do need some innings. So you could argue that in Gonsolin's favor. What you don't want to see is like the Dodgers, the Dodgers, let's say that the Dodgers get like 4 runs in the first inning. If Gonsolin comes back in the second or whatever and gives up like 2 or 3, that's when you got to worry about him coming out. It's if they're like down 2-0 or something, and he's pitching, I think he'll still be in there. But if like he's down 2-0 and the bases are loaded, they might just go matchup for matchup. It's playoff baseball, And the long relief for the Dodgers is nothing is better than the long relief for both Tampa Bay in general and especially Houston. when Houston brings in their relievers, these relievers have come in and closed the games. Javier, we had the same thing with Framber Valdez in the first round. So they're the ones you would want to try to attack their middle relief bullpen.
You know what? It's not like they're 200. I mean, these guys are.
No, you're playing them to outscore the starters. That's the thing. Look, I'm not saying play a bunch of Javier, but you're trying to win a tournament with a bunch of people. He could end up being the highest pitcher on the slate, and he might not even play. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those slates. It's a really weird slate.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this was fun. For all the people at BetQL, for Sheets, we want to say thanks to all you guys out there. Remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you at the top of the leaderboards.
All right. Good luck, guys.